Welcome everyone to this forum entitled Educational Technologies and its Significance in the 21st Century Teaching and Learning. Now, as we know, teaching and learning in this current 21st century has actually undergone significant changes over the past centuries, especially in the wake of the Industrial Revolution that sparked the growing demands for holistic graduate development all around the world. So, in this insightful session, we will uncover a few key differences in this insightful session across three chosen digital learning tools, namely Padlet, Kahoot, and Google Classroom. So our main goal here is to discuss these tools' strength, weakness, and potential applications across different subjects in the educational settings. So maybe we'll start this evening session with a brief introduction of our participant and panels.
Hello, I'm Farah, a science and art teacher, currently teaching at Selangor International School, and I'm interested in how these tools can engage students in creative and inquiry-based learning.
Hello, my name is Mohita. I'm an English teacher, currently teaching at SK Methodist Girls' School, and I'm keen on exploring how these tools can support language proficiency and communication.
Hello everyone, my name is Lina. I teach mathematics at SK Sarah. I'm looking forward to discussing how these tools can enhance problem-solving skills and critical thinking.
Hello everyone, greetings. It's nice to know you from different schools. I'm Fatim Fazana, a curriculum designer at SK Tamadesa. I'm interested in how these two align with learning objectives and assessment strategies.
Hello, I am Liana, an educational technologist from International Johor Bahru School. My is to provide insights into the technical aspect of this tool and their integration into the classroom.
Okay, thank you everyone for the very lovely introduction of yourself. So without further ado, I think we'll just start this session, and definitely with everyone's personal opinion on the overall utility and ease of the use of the discussed three digital tools that we have mentioned earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz. Well, for me personally, I would say Padlet is very user-friendly for creating visual and collaborative projects. Same goes to the Kahoot. It is also easy to set up with quiz and games. Whereas for Google Classroom, it can be a bit confusing, especially for new users who prefer more guided and structured user interface.
For quick assessments, Google Classroom is familiar to many students, but it can be complex for teachers to get used to class creation features and managing assignments, especially if the teachers are having hard times familiarizing with the interface.
I believe I also agree that Padlet is excellent for creating interactive word walls or discussion boards. Meanwhile, Kahoot is also fun for vocabulary and grammar practices and truly useful to capture students' engagement. However, I do believe that with the proper training and familiarity over time, Google Classroom can also be as easy as Kahoot and Padlet, with extra feasibility in organizing loads of assignments and feedbacks.
Okay, it's special in edu and are very intuitive. For example, set up and view the student at school. For the front, this trouble state switch over by Padlet also allows instantly publish the work, even more accountability, engagement, not require a student to participate. Kahoot, besides easy to use reader, there are a few features that can touch gameplay where the host is able to create live quizzes for students to participate So it helps the to participate actively, class, and gain knowledge in a fun way. So, Google Classroom, on the other hand, might require more training for the students due to integration of video meeting feature along with other web-embedded tools to familiarize with its system. So, once you understand it, they address.
Exactly. While Padlet and Kahoot have a low learning curve, Google Classroom versatility comes with a steeper learning curve. So proper training and support are essential.
All right, so we have heard every panel standpoint in regards to the Padlet's ease of use. Then what about the features and functionality for these digital learning tools? How do actually one individual compare to one another upon its utility across different subjects?
For me, as an English teacher, I personally think that Padlet is much more suited to increase students' language proficiency due to its real-time response, collaborative postings, where students can view each other's work, and plus it also has the all-new AI embedded features, AI here meaning artificial intelligence, for image creation and language processing and pause feature to increase interactivity. Personally, I do feel that English language is a subject that can be learned better with more interactions between students as well as digital tools online. So with this feature, many schools in Asia and around the world have adopted Padlet to increase not only English but also Mandarin proficiency. Kahoot is also the same, plus with its gamification features, it allows teachers to directly assess students' understanding through quizzes and competitive questions. I believe it will be even more useful to test students' practicality, especially in critical thinking and analytic subjects such as mathematics. On the other hand, Google Classroom perhaps has its own place for other subjects, which require more organization and documentation procedures.
Yes, I do agree with Ms. Moita about Padlet's suitability for language subjects. The overall integration of Kahoot assess students' understanding through quizzes and fun games are also true. However, based on my personal standpoint, who holds different teaching profiles for two different subjects, I would say that Google Classroom has its own perks and advantages, especially through its ability to directly conduct virtual classroom and task segregation, and also organizations according to different groups. Another benefit to Google Classroom is the inclusion of parents in the learning journey of students, where parents can be invited to these portals and they will receive emails summarized of their children's works or any unsubmitted work. This will let parents monitor their children's progress in class and possibly assist in their lesson learning.
All right. So in the overall view, I would say that cloud is much more viable to test students' understanding and assessing their performance through PACE feature. Teacher can monitor their answers and correct misunderstandings in real time based on the response of the. In the other words, Kahoot requires more analytical sorts of engagement, which is why I think it's the best suited for subjects like mathematics. The same thing goes on with Mandarin. However, due to its open access and tendency for user-generated content features, I believe it caters mostly to teaching literature and language-based subjects compared to analytical ones like mathematics. Plus, its limited free user policy also prevents effective teaching coordination for subjects with vast topics. Google Classroom, on the other hand, might be useful as well for teachers to organize teaching plans according to topical arrangements of routines. Teachers and instructors can also book classes tasks, as well as grade examinations online without ever using physical papers. So passing this now over to you, curriculum designer.
Okay, we know that when teachers plan their lesson, it is important for them to find the suitable and efficient digital tools to support their teaching. So in this sharing, we can see that every tool has its own pros and cons. Some may offer freedom and customizable contents, while some might impose certain limitation. So it is advised for teachers to identify whether their subjects are theoretical or analytical. So we know that analytical is required you to dig deep and use your brain to solve the problem. So subjects like science and mathematics are rather analytical. Those utilization of tools like Google Classroom and Kahoot may be more feasible and effective. So theoretical also as known as studies related to the concept, facts, and history. So it is a memorizing based subject, while subject like literatures and language might be quite theoretical. Those tools like Padlet may become even more valuable and simple to use.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It's important to tailor the use of learning tools based on learning experience. However, it's also important to address interoperability and compatibility. In this instance, Padlet may be even more simpler to use as a user can access the tool directly, okay, even without an account. One can access straight away from an app in web browsers or share links. So, the Google Classroom, however, is quite the opposite. You need to be logged into account before enjoying this feature. Not to mention that some country might also impose restriction to Google access, which limits the overall utility of the service. Things to consider is student attribute point where the student engage with the student with visual impairments thanks to its read alert feature. Okay.
Thank you for all of these impactful points delivered by our, esteemed panels. So when we talk about education and technologies, we cannot escape from the pedagogical values that accompany them. So perhaps the panels from the teaching background or the teachers, you may have something to share about this value and its feasibility. What about the standpoint from the language teacher? You may want to start on something.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz. So for me, I would personally go for the openness values associated with Padlet. Through this concept, students are able to learn collaboratively and express their ideas to the fullest. However, the efficiency of other tools also should never be looked down upon. For example, when it comes to Google Classroom, when we look back to the recent pandemic, most sort of teaching at higher level institutions have adopted Google Classroom due to its flexibility and versatile features linked with all of Google's services. As we all know, Google has many services such as Gmail, Google Drive, Google Form, Google Calendar, and all this can work hand in hand together to assist the teachers and students' work. So that's a blessing in its intricacy.
I'm going to jump right in and agree with Ms. Rita here. You know that the openness and collaborative learning elements added with real-time assessment actually motivate students' learning curves. However, I also believe that the tools need to be structured and well moderated to prevent sways from the learning objective and unwanted mistakes to continue, which is why Kahoot exists as more as structured tools for gated response and engagement. Padlet, on the other hand, might. But sometimes we also need to understand that due to this extensive freedom, some mistakes and off-task behaviors might go unnoticed.
And as a teacher who manages students from various groupings and multiple subjects, I concur with engaging students' understanding through analytical assessments and formative assessment approach offered by both Kahoot and Google Classroom. As for Padlet, it may also come in handy should the teacher wants to file a sharing and note sharing session to capture students' involvement outside of the classroom.
All right, thank you. So now we have heard from the teacher's standpoint about their technological tools and how it actually relates to the pedagogical views. Now we want to know from the curriculum designers and the educational technologies perspectives in regards of the sustainability and cost efficiency of these tools.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz. So I would say Padlet and Kahoot offer free version with limitation. For Padlet, only 3 Padlet bots are allowed. For those with free account, 2 megabytes of file upload limit, 2 minutes video recording times, and 5 minutes audio recording session. So meanwhile, Kahoot user also must subscribe to its premiums plans for additional features with the host being responsible for the payment. So Google on the other side offers more privacy and flexibility to use across a variety of its other service linked to Google Classroom, be it in the form of free user or paid user.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Hafiz, our super moderator. For some, free use and simple access might be the priority. Okay, um, for me, it is advised for one to consider under security, long-term and privacy safeguarding feature as well. As we know, sometimes a tool may impose too many freedom for the users that it lacks guarantees on the user's privacy and account security. Hence, it's good for teachers consider the long-term impact of tool selection they choose to include privacy and other extra features that can sustain in the tool for multi-purpose. Okay.
All right. Thank you for the very insightful responses from both of you, the educational technologies and the curriculum developers. So basically, we just want to reflect back on these enduring advices. We have covered a lot of ground today on the digital tool selections and how it is relevant in our current 21st century learning. So I would basically say that all in all, these tools offered multidisciplinary advantages and benefits that outweigh the limitations of its adoptions. To be specific, teachers need to customize their objectives of learning and deliveries according to which tool that they actually wanted to use. It will be unfair for us to simply neglect the fact that each tool has its own unique features to offer. And by being biased to only a single tool, I believe without maximizing the tool capabilities for better teaching and learning impacts is rather unfair and uncalled for. So the integration and mixtures of these tools by teachers community will definitely enhance learning for various subjects at different settings. Thus, to conclude, based on this insightful session this evening, teachers today are once again challenged with the advancement of technologies in their efforts of educating our younger generations. Private institutions and government agencies are therefore called for and expected to assist our nation in developing more digital literacy programs for our next educators or to master these challenging demands in the future. So having that being said, I think we just wrap things up for evening session. So I just want to thank all of you, all of the esteemed panels and our esteemed guests for today. And together, we hope that this session will shine some light on the current radical shift in our current national educational landscape. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz. That's definitely a very fun, knowledgeable session. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz, and all my fellow panelists.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz, and all of you.